My fondest memories as a grad student here was the difference between Ohio State and Penn State, and how I fit into the program here very comfortably, very easily. It came naturally. At that point, incoming students had take what they called a diagnostic exam, and which then guided the advisors in terms of which courses you take and which courses you didn't need to take and so forth. And I had gotten the highest score that any art ed student had ever gotten on that when I came in here. And so that apparently impressed Victor Lowenfeld. So he was my mentor, and I was one of his students that he sort of took good care of. But I was ready to brain him at one point when I finished the defense of my dissertation, which had to do with conformity. There's the premise that artists are a bunch of nonconformists, a bunch of kooks, and as far as I knew, that was simply an unexplored kind of a myth. And during my master's degree, I had worked with a group of psychologists also in developing projective testing is the Rorschach is a classic example. But in any event, I'd had enough experience in psychological testing and so forth, so that I was not a total babe in the woods. But there was no difference statistically in high schools with two high school groups. There was a 1% level of credibility, statistical credibility, with both the undergrads, grad students, and professionals. So it was so basically what it amounted to was indeed our art people that once they'd made a real commitment to it were indeed the nonconformists they were supposed to be. And I also dug into the literature of the correspondence of artists. But in any event, the thing that really bugged me with Lowenfeld was I'd finished my defense of my dissertation. He came out and in the Burroughs building, which is where the exam was held, and I was pacing the hallway after having done as well as I could in terms of the defending of the dissertation, and he came out and gave me one of his classic bear hugs, and said, he said, I didn't know whether you could handle that problem or not. And I said, for God's sake, Doc, why didn't you tell me before I'd made a year commitment to doing a study that you didn't know whether I could handle it. If you didn't think I could handle it, why did you let me proceed to make a fool out of myself? He said, I just wanted to see if you could do it, and I was ready to throttle him. But needless to say, he was a very kind and gentle and loving person, and I had the highest regard for him, both as a scholar and as a